Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for The Bear Season 1, Episode 2. Hands. That is the
All
title
right.
of this episode. Listen, we're both watching The Bear for the first time,
Yeah,
and it's one of those shows where every single person in the world is being like, you gotta watch The Bear. The Bear is great. And
I know. My dad has been on me about this.
there's always a fear when this happens though that like eventually you're gonna actually watch it and it's not gonna live up to all of that because you've inflated it so much in your head. But I am really enjoying this show. Like I think it's very interesting. A lot of really fun characters. Like the guest star list in episode 2 alone is like incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough when so many people are like, "You gotta watch The Bear. You gotta watch the same thing happened with Breaking Bad. Oh, you gotta
Yeah.
watch Breaking Bad. It's the greatest show ever, and it is, But a lot of times people will tell you something is really awesome, and then you watch it and you're like, "Yeah, it's good,
Mhm.
but like, it's not Breaking Bad." But this is at that level. It really. Like the premiere was so good, but episode 2 really found its footing right away.
I think the biggest takeaway that I have from all of this is that, as great of a chef as Carmy is, and I think we all can establish already that Carmy's a really, really good chef, that he is really flawed. He struggles a lot to get out of his own way, and he's got a lot of serious stuff that he's tackling and that I don't think he's even really willing to admit to himself. And I think until he does that, like this sandwich shop, whatever else his aspirations may be, like they're not going to come together in Chicago. This is not going to be an easy road for him.
No, he has so many things that have piled up on him with, the death of his brother when he was working at, French Laundry, that everything that's been in his head, he's setting his own apartment on fire.
Yeah,
Like his anxiety and, dealing with his own mental health issues, like he's not dealing with them. They're just sitting on him in a way that he is setting his own apartment on fire and he doesn't really realize what's going on.
this is the question we should think about, and you guys can talk about it in the comments too. Like, is Carmy actually happy as the chef? Like, this is a very fascinating idea for me that this is something he's clearly really good at. I don't know if he's happy doing it. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah, because one of the things that I found the most interesting is that while he is spending so much time at the sandwich shop or French Laundry, taking the extra time to make sure, something's been, cooked for 12 hours, it's perfect, everything is perfect, he goes home and drinks a Coke and has a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and
Yeah.
is like burning frozen prepackaged foods on his stove.
He is such an interesting character. There's clearly so much to dive into with him. But before we do move forward here, be sure to join our Patreon because over there, every Tuesday,
Mhm.
we go live. We
Yep.
have this big stream where we talk about all things TV. We'll talk about the bear. We'll answer questions. We'll have a really, really fun time. We would love to see you guys over there. We can talk all about the show, our
Yep.
experiences with it, everything else you're watching. But go ahead, check out our Patreon. That button is in the description. And thank you to everyone who has.
Yeah, thank you to everyone over on Patreon who suggested that we watch
Yeah.
The Bear because that's the reason that we're here talking about the show at all.
All right. Let's start the guest star parade here with Joel McHale as like the big boss chef because I'm a huge Community fan. Like I love Joel McHale, but I always think of Joel McHale as just sort of like this silly, kind of like irreverent comedian type. He was so intense as this chef.
Oh, so cruel.
I want to see Joel McHale in more dramatic roles just because of what he does in The Bear.
Yeah.
Because he looks different enough. He's got the glasses. He's kind of playing a little bit older than some of the other characters that he has over time, and like he just like we know clearly why Carmy is so hard on himself.
Yeah, I mean, that chef was so hard on him for something that wasn't even his fault. It
Yeah.
was one of the chefs under Carmy that kept breaking the sauce and it wasn't, where it needed to get to that now is Carmy's fault. But to the point that it's like he's talking about that he should be dead. Like it was so rough. Him then having this anxiety nightmare that he's sort of like half asleep, half awake for burning down his kitchen, seeing the receipts coming up where he feels responsible
Yeah.
for Michael's death, that he should be dead. Like, this show is so intense, and that whole sequence was wild.
Joel McHale, by the way, was also making me feel bad about my own cooking abilities because, like, maybe this will be a segment in your Chef's
It's
Corner.
Joel's fault.
Joel, because of you, I have broken. I don't make a lot of sauces, but I like to make hollandaise sauce for, like, eggs Benedict and all
It's
that.
so good.
It's so good, but I feel like
No, your sauce is so good. If you guys ever have a chance to have Matt cook
Just-
for you, his
really.
holiday sauce is so good.
Well, come to my restaurant. It's opening tomorrow. No, I have broken about half of these sauces that I have made over time. Joel McHale would hate me. He would have thrown me out of his kitchen. I'm just saying that right now. Also, on the guest starring front.
Oliver Platt.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. It was so cool to see him on this show. I mean, I love Flatliners. It was the first time I had ever seen him. He's so wonderful. And seeing him in this kind of a role where he's there as basically a guy's picking up a loan that Michael had taken out. So Carmy didn't realize, he knew that the sandwich shop was doing badly financially and that vendors were cutting him off and he wasn't able to get his bills paid. And then Jimmy shows up, Oliver Platt,
Yeah.
who's basically like, listen, before Michael died, he took out some loans with me. And I'm not here to break your legs or anything, but I could. So now you're responsible for these loans. Oh, well, how much has been taken out? $300,000. I was like, oh my goodness, to see Carmy's face where he was just like, I'll take care of it. I was like, why are you taking this on? This isn't, Jimmy is wrong. This is not your responsibility. It was Michael's responsibility. So then Jimmy's kind of like, you could just wipe this out by selling me the place. And the answer is still no. Like, there's a lot of people that want this place sold.
It's such an interesting, complicated position right now. And I am no expert on the restaurant industry. However, I have seen a lot of Kitchen Nightmares. And one of the things I've seen on Kitchen Nightmares is how hard.
You an expert.
Yeah, I'm an expert because I watch Gordon Ramsay look at some really nasty kitchens. And because of that,
I
I
love
know
that show.
this industry is very hard. It's very hard to be successful. And I think it's very hard to
Yep.
get out of a financial hole because, like, what can Carmy really do here? Because he can't, like, significantly increase the prices because then everybody's going to come in and be like, why'd you raise the prices? I ain't paying that. And then they're going to leave. And so, like, maybe you can improve it like $1 if you make the quality of the food a little bit better. But still, you would have to sell hundreds of thousands of Italian beef sandwiches to really make the profits necessary to, like, go along with that. And there's only so much your kitchen can do in a given day.
And now they have a C rating.
They,
So, things are even more difficult because if I walk by, I saw a C rating, I'm not coming in. So that's definitely going to hurt them. And it was an interesting journey with that pack of cigarettes because,
yeah,
we saw that Richie was really like, this is my fault.
yeah.
Like, he really thought that he was the person that did it. And of course, by the end of the episode, we saw that Carmy's actually the person that put them on the burner, right beside the stove.
I think this is important for Richie's character, especially because this is why he's so defensive, I think. It's because he's used to getting things wrong and screwing things up a lot, that he's got, like, this sort of immediate impulse that I'm going to react, I'm going to get mad, I'm going to do whatever I have to, I'm going to pout, scream because
It's my fault.
Yeah.
That he really thinks everything is his fault inside.
he just hates himself to such a degree that, like, he's going to lash out, and he's going to lash out constantly. Like, even the idea of, like, going to try to repair this caulking with Sydney, and it's just like, I have to go with somebody else. Like, how dare I? And it's like Sydney ends up really helping him. Like, we end up getting, like, an actual scene of interaction between the two of them that I thought was, I thought I had that same reaction. I thought this was very sweet and very genuine. And because you threw a hissy fit, Richie, it almost didn't happen.
I absolutely loved seeing these two sort of get to some sort of an understanding where, yeah, we see Richie at the hardware store. He doesn't want to ask anybody for help. He picks up the wrong caulking. She ends up being like, don't worry, I got the right one, while you
Yeah.
were over here just, messing around and not getting proper help for this. I got you. Like, even though you didn't want me to have your back, I have it anyways because I have the back of the shop. And I think that that was something that Richie really respected, to be like, okay, she really is here for the shop. She's not here just for me or just for whatever. She's here for the restaurant, and she's going to make sure that we're okay.
I think one of the things that Richie is going to have to realize, and this is where I probably relate to him, is just that change is hard. I think anytime something is introduced that is an uncertain variable, you
Yeah.
want to fight it because
Yeah.
it's just like, this is not comfortable for me. And Richie was comfortable in the shop operating a certain way. He already has Carmy coming in, and Carmy wants to completely change everything. He's clearly really upset about that. And then you have Sydney, somebody who clearly like admires the cookery of Carmy and his history. So I think it's his immediate impulse to be like, okay, well, she's just here for Carmy. She doesn't care about me. She's just going to be a threat to me. So,
Mhm.
I'm going to try to treat her really, really terribly. And he's starting to come around throughout episode 2. I'm not saying that like episode 3 is going to roll around and then he's going to like
Yeah,
pout
they're
and
not
yell.
going to be BFFs or
No,
anything like that, but I think he has a better understanding of that she's more of a bigger picture person. She's not just there for Carmy to learn from Carmy. That's a bonus, but she's really in it, and she's there for the shop, which means she's there for everybody. But I think on the opposite side,
yeah.
she has a better understanding of him as well. We learn that he's, got a little kid, and that he can be very soft and really try to help out and really be there as a dad, and that I'm sure is weighing on him as well.
I think the stress that all these people have on them is just like I would not ask any of that on anyone. I am
Yeah.
surprised that Richie is even still in a position of power right now because how he was screaming when the health inspector was there. Like, by the way, Amy Morton once again. In between her and Oliver Platt, like we made this joke on the Patreon video we did earlier this week, but
Yeah,
it feels like the producers of the Bears just went over to the one Chicago
I
set and
know.
we're just like, who wants a
You.
I can't wait until we get the episode coming up where I don't know, are we going to see like Taylor Kinney's going to
I
play a
know.
busboy at some point at some fancy restaurant? No, good. I mean, you guys get local talent. I
Yeah.
understand it. You want to get people who are already there in Chicago, but like, I can't imagine many people throwing that big of a fit at a health inspector and then the health inspector not being like, well, you know what, I'm just going to give you an F now. Or I don't know if there's an F in health inspecting. I'm just assuming. I don't know the rules.
Listen, Richie is really, really complicated. I
Yeah.
mean, when I first saw him in the pilot, I was like, there's got to be more to this guy. He can't just be this angry
Yeah.
ball of chaos all the time. We saw a softer side in the car. We saw him having more respect, seemingly, for Sydney than before, which is something we hadn't seen yet. We saw him taking responsibility for the cigarettes, even though it actually wasn't his fault. He admitted it to Sydney that he was like, oh, I'm sure it was me. It was me. I did it, which is something we hadn't seen him do either. And then we saw him at the end of this episode find this letter,
Yeah.
likely that's in an envelope that's from Michael to Carmy, and we saw him pick it up, and it had gotten stuck. I guess it fell.
Yeah.
He pulled it out, he put it on Carmy's desk, and then he picked it back up and put it back where he found it. Why do you guys think he did that? Because it's such a he's such a complicated guy.
I think, I'm really curious about this because I feel like there's a part of him that's just like, once again, self-preservation. I don't want Carmy to see this, but then he's also wrestling with this, I should let Carmy find it for himself. I think I should let him sort of figure this stuff out.
He may never
Yeah,
find it.
he may never find it, but he doesn't want to mess with, I guess, whatever he thinks fate is, and he doesn't want to be the one who just goes to Carmy and says all of this. He's trying to like remove himself from an equation where he is clearly a part of the equation. You work at the restaurant.
I had wondered if this is my tinfoil
All
hat
right, all
theory,
right.
that he didn't want to be sort of the deliverer of a message from beyond the grave. It's a
Yeah,
very heavy
it is.
thing. Like if he put that letter there, eventually, Carmi would be like, "Well, who found it? Who put it here? Oh, it's you." He doesn't know what's in that letter. He could be in there blaming Carmi, he could be in there loving Carmi. There could be all kinds of stuff in this letter. He doesn't know what it is, if it could affect Carmi in a way that Carmi leaves the
Mhm.
shop falls apart. Carmi can't really handle a lot more right now. Like he didn't want to just tear it up and it's gone, but at the same, because I mean that I don't think Richie's capable of that.
No.
But at the same time, I think he is in a bit of a weird spot with that, because then you're the messenger of whatever is in this letter. I mean, like if this is the last letter before Michael did what he did, I mean, there's going to be some pretty heavy stuff in there that Carmi may not be able to handle and may take it out on Richie or the shop or
Yeah.
everybody there.
And I think Richie knows the last thing he needs at this point is more conflict on
Yeah.
top of everything else. Now that we are so far into this video, I do have to present a little bit of beef. So maybe this is Italian beef, but this is my only issue with
Chicago beef.
delicious. This is the only issue I have right now with episode 2 is I think they got to find a better way to work Sugar in, because it feels like she is just sort of not on her own show, but it feels like she's kind of separate a lot from everything else that's happening. But it feels like the Bear as a show knows that they want to include her, so it just feels like in these first couple of episodes, okay, how can we bring her in? What sort of scene can we give her? What sort of dialogue can we give her? Because we know we want to use her, and I don't think they figured that part of it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously trying to get Carmi to have some sort of help. I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like Sugar's been getting some help, and, her husband's been getting some help. There's something going on between Carmi and the husband that didn't
Yeah.
go out very well. And, we saw her send that website. So it looks like maybe he might look at getting some help. I don't know.
Yeah, I my concern is just that this is clearly a guy who is so in his own head, and I think because he has been, labeled a genius or a master at his craft, people like that. I'm not saying they're egomaniacs, and I don't think Carmi necessarily is, but I think
No.
he thinks he knows best because he has been the best. And, when he has realized I can function at the level that I am and be really, really successful, maybe I don't need to change all that much. And maybe that's something that does sort of live in his head.
Yeah. I think it's tough for him too, because, at French Laundry, he was a punching bag, and now he's at this job and he's also a punching bag. That even though he's good at what he does, he's just getting it everywhere that he goes, and that is going to affect his mental health. His brother is gone and now he's here. And there was an interesting line in this too where it was like, Michael never wanted Carmi working there,
Yeah.
but then when Michael dies, he leaves him the shop. There's a lot to still unpack with this show. I mean, but 2 episodes in,
Yeah.
they've really packed a lot in.
Yeah, like my tinfoil hat thing on, with Michael, as I think he thought Carmi could move on to bigger and better things for the
Yep.
shop. But then when Michael's not there, I think he probably knows, okay, Richie's not really capable of doing this. So, Carmi, maybe you can turn this into something. And Carmi obviously feels very, very much like he has to, like he's really responsible. And
Yeah.
this is going to be emotional. The great comedy, The Bear.
And I'm sure the great comedy there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Michael wanted to keep it in the family. And it was revealed that Richie's actually not blood family. He was his best friend.
Yeah.
Because there was that conversation of like, oh, you're the cousin. Who are you, related to? Actually, I'm not related to anybody. I'm his best friend. And so Michael probably wanted to keep the sandwich shop going and was like, okay, I didn't want Carmi working here, but I know Sugar wants to sell it.
Yeah.
So Carmi's the only choice.
Well, for now, we have the table has been set for the rest of the Bear season 1. We are all getting prepared for our meal. If you want to join us at our meal, have some lively, dinner discussion, metaphorically here, of course, join our Patreon. We have a link for you guys in the description. Be a part of our live streams over there every Tuesday. Thank you to all of our patrons.
you
We
so
really
much.
appreciate your support, and we will see you here next time.